I'm Melissa.
And I'm Mike, and we're back again. I'm back from a different city
Yeah. Yeah,
where I
you
was
are.
last week. Yeah,
Um,
here I am. So, I guess today we wanted to talk about AI. We've talked about AI a few times on the podcast. I just want to say, in case you can't tell, I kind of having some allergy situations going on here. That's why my voice sounds so. It's very deep, isn't it? Does my voice sound deeper than it usually does?
I don't think it sounds deeper. I think it just sounds like it does sound like you have a little bit of a cold.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a cold. I feel it feels like allergies, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll give it a couple days, see what happens.
Um,
But go ahead. You can continue.
yeah. No, so we're talking about, yeah, we've talked about ChatGPT and AI and all that, but I don't know. I feel like it's just you know what? Actually, I don't even think, I think what it is that, people are just, more people are using it and getting used to it and like seeing what it
Yeah.
can really do.
It's
And
used for more things than just coming up with trivia questions for game time.
no, because for real, like for the most part, I've always used ChatGPT. I guess we'll just get right into it.
Right.
Um, I've always pretty much used ChatGPT like Google. I've never really, but I've talked about it before. I'm just not really with it online like that. I'm not really a poster. I'm not really I use those things, but I think I use them incorrectly. I use my
Yeah.
social medias just to browse and look up recipes and all that basic
Right.
stuff. So I always appreciate the people on social media who teach me things. I like when they show me things to buy on Amazon. I like
Right.
when they show me a new way to use ChatGPT. I always, again, used it just basically as an extension of Google because I felt like
Right.
it gave me more information um, than Google.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think that is one of the, like, I think that's how a lot of people use it right now. I think right now, a lot of people, and part of that comes from if you go on Google right now and you Google something, probably your first search result is going to actually be an AI generated,
Oh, I've noticed that. Yeah.
answer to whatever you're looking for.
Hmm.
Um, so like that's a that's a hint at how I think people are utilizing like AI. The majority of people I think are utilizing it.
Hmm.
And what I'm kind of curious about is how people like being someone who works in tech, like the
Hmm.
way I use it is probably different than the way that most people who use it for personal use or for the job or whatever use it. Because I'll use it like in more technical ways, like, you know, how can I accomplish this? Or if I'm having a problem with something, what's the solution to this? And I think I've said that like the difference between using like and primarily I think I use ChatGPT. I use Gemini a little bit, but the biggest difference is before I would Google something, I would get a bunch of search results. I'd go through the first 10 of them would be other people on some message board somewhere posting something about having the exact same problem, and I would not find solutions. You'd go through and
Hmm.
you'd look at like 10 different. Well, with AI now, because it's basically like information aggregators, it goes through all that and says, okay, which one of these is a
Yeah, I
relevant
still
answer to that.
can't figure out how. That's what I like about it though, because think of how many times in the past that you would Google something and you're just searching forever trying to find just when I'm Googling something, I just want a simple answer to something that I asked. I don't want to have to go to a bunch of different websites, clicking on a bunch of links, looking at a bunch of Wikipedia pages. Like, I just
Oh, the
want
Wikipedias are the worst.
I just want a simple answer to my simple question. That's it. Like,
Right.
how much is
Yep.
this going to cost? But you know what? Like, okay, so there's a few things that I've learned that other people use ChatGPT for through online and all that stuff, TikTok, all those fun sites,
The the internets.
the internet. So, um, there's people that will go on ChatGPT and they will literally put in like, I have this much money, I have $100. I'm gonna go to insert grocery store here, Target, Aldi, whatever. I have this much money. Make me a grocery list with this budget for dinners for the week or whatever. And it will literally
Oh.
come up and, or I have this much money. I'm going to this store. What ingredients can I get at the store with this much money to make me dinner for the night or for the
So
week or
using it
whatever?
to do like meal
To
budgeting.
literally a meal
That's something I
budget,
would never have thought of. Yeah,
right?
that's a great use. That's a
Isn't
great
that
use of it.
insane?
Yeah.
And it keeps you on track. It gives you a list. It keeps you like within because pretty much like all grocery stores prices are easily acceptable. I tried
Right.
it. I tried it because I just wanted to see like what kind of even recipes it gives because it does that as well. It'll be like um
The
I just
budget's too low. It just gives you ramen soups.
yeah
You
yeah
might want to just buy five ramen soups for the week.
yeah butter noodles can make a big batch of those. um yeah it no it well I didn't do it for the week. I didn't try and go into it that much. I just said like give me some dinner ideas for today. I forget, I gave it like a set price or whatever with this much money
Hmm.
at Aldi, and it gave like a price range, like
Okay.
rice $2 to $3, like this is so it kept you on that. But I thought it was pretty cool. That's something that I would
Yeah,
never
that's
think, and it's literally creating your meal planning for the week and keeping you in your budget for the week. Like if you're somebody that
yeah.
um goes to the grocery store and just kind of grabs whatever you see and then you get
Yeah.
home and you realize you have no meals, like I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I wonder how advanced, like, I would imagine if somebody designed a specific AI to do that function, to do like budget and meal planning kind of stuff, that they could even do it down to the level of, well, let's see, at this store, like Target has rice on sale this week, and Publix has,
Say
chicken
no
breasts
more,
on
Dad.
BOGO.
Create the app. Create the app.
I know, right? I really should. I really
Delete that
should. I
part.
mean,
Delete that
it
part
is,
out.
yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
heard.
I'm
Y'all
not.
didn't
This
hear that.
part, this part won't be in the episode. This will not be in the episode. This will
Actually,
just be blank. Well, I'll still put it in, but I'll cut the audio out, and then
just
I'll come
play
up with some excuse for why there was
elevator
no audio.
music.
No,
Elevator music.
but it is interesting to me because, and it's funny because you mentioned like doing this as a topic, and this last week, at the meetings that I was at, they happened to have a guy there that was actually talking about AI and how people are utilizing it. And
Mhm.
there were some really interesting things, like the one example he gave, because this guy actually is somebody who goes around to companies and helps them like to better, make better use of it. Because I think even in
Mhm.
companies, a lot of times it's just what we were talking about. It's like I'm just using it, to Google things, maybe things about my job, but it's a replacement for Google.
Mhm.
And even at that, right? Because it is better at aggregating the information, it's still a time saver. I think one of the funniest things was like he mentioned this kind of a negative thing when you're talking about in your job using it, where people think of it almost like cheating. And he kind of said it's not really. He said you should be upfront about it, that if you're using it, but if you're using it to get your job done more quickly in a more efficient way, like how is that bad? Like, how is that bad for the company? How is it bad for
Yeah.
you? And there's no downside to it.
And it's
And
not
but
like a
the
job is like school, you know.
right,
There's no real
right,
way that you can like cheat
yeah,
at your job.
yeah,
Like you still gotta know your job to an extent. I mean,
yeah,
unless it's the doctor
yeah,
leaving the emergency room to like, and
yeah.
even
That
then,
that
he
would be
still gotta
bad.
kind of know what he's doing. Like I still
Yeah,
couldn't figure it out if
yeah.
I was
Like if he's
ChatGPTing.
if he's asking ChatGPT like, where should I make this incision? That might not be good.
Yeah.
Um, but the one example he used, he was talking about some government piece of the government that he was working with. Might have been like national parks, and he was talking about like that they did these requisitions
Mhm.
um, for like when they needed to get something replaced or something new, and how long it used to take them to do this form because of all the requirements, because all the government requirements of specifications for things and all the regulations related to like the land use and all that kind of stuff, and it just all the research they had to do one of these forms,
Mhm.
and somebody at one of those who wasn't a tech person actually created like an AI template for doing it that would just ask them the relevant questions and would create the form for them. Would literally create the form, and I think it would even do a PDF of that form that needed to be filled out. Like
Mhm.
amazing stuff, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff is just mind blowing to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I there was this. Oh, I think when I brought it up, I told you how like there's people that will send in literally photos of themselves, like their face or themselves or whatever, and they'll ask ChatGPT like, "What makeup looks best on my, I don't know, facial structure and skin tone and all that stuff,
Right.
my features, what hair color best suits me?" And it will actually, you know, get back to them and show them examples. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think that stuff is pretty cool. But I like even people will send in how much they make a month and to ChatGPT and kind of lay out their specs of the basic things that they have to pay for and how much it is. And you can obviously make your own budget, but they'll basically say, "Hey, I make this much every month. Make me a budget of like realistically how much I can afford in like rent, realistically how much I should be paying for groceries, how much I should be paying for
Right.
like all these different things." And it'll do that. And I don't know how it
Yeah.
even does that. To be honest, I think that side of the technology is pretty cool because obviously that's not even I've asked it before even like I'm about to get a job and I see my oh okay, this is how much I'm getting paid. Hey, ChatGPT, how much are my paychecks going to be?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and
I
it'll
live in this
figure out where
state,
yeah.
this county, like how much are my paychecks going to be? And
And
I think that stuff is pretty
one of the
cool.
wait, it's funny because you say that one of the interesting things that this guy uh, that did this presentation said, and I've been using it for a while, and I've never thought of this, but um, he basically said when you're asking it for something like have it ask you questions about it. In other words, like in that scenario, you might say to it, or yeah, I guess like when you're telling it to make like a budget plan for you, you might say, ask me relevant questions about the things that I like to do on my free time and where I live,
Oh
and that
yeah.
so that it can gather information from you first, rather than it try to come up with something and then you have to say
Just out
no,
of the
well that's
wind.
not right because yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And I thought that was
Yeah.
interesting because I've never thought of that when I've used it.
Yeah, that's one of the things the one thing that I was listening to um and the girl was like telling me or telling, the people. Uh um she was saying that like I guess I don't really log in and use it consistently enough that way and like tell ChatGPT too much of my like business like that in under a username and everything. But I guess on hers, she uses it so much and has told ChatGPT so much of like her own personal information. Like I have, I have this many siblings. I have a brother. I have a
Hmm.
sister. I have kids. I like ChatGPT knows enough about her life and what she does and all that stuff that now when she's asking it questions, it's more formulated, I guess, to her. But I've also heard people say that they also feel like ChatGPT starts to become a little biased,
Yeah. Or a little too
like
comfortable too.
agreeable.
I Yeah. Well, yeah, that because that's like the negatives. One thing, what you're talking about, like, I've used it for some things with the podcast, like, some
Mhm.
of our segments that we were looking for like questions. I've used it to come up with like trivia questions and that. Um,
Mhm.
and I've used it for suggestions on, what to do for like shorts and that kind of thing. And it's funny because I'll go on now and I'll be talking about something that doesn't really have anything to do with the podcast, but it'll make an assumption that it's related to the podcast. So it'll make suggestions that would be more relevant to the podcast than to like other
Mhm.
things that I'm trying to do. So I
Yeah.
think that's funny too. It's like when you're logged in and it has a memory of who you are and it knows who you are, yeah, you do get like kind of different, more targeted responses. But then the other thing that I've noticed is, yeah, it does have a bias towards wanting to give you kind of a positive answer to your question. So if you're asking a question that can be interpreted, I guess, or that
Mhm.
that there's the possibility of having like different answers, it'll try to give you an answer that supports your point of view, I guess, somewhat is something that I've noticed. And then uh kind of the danger of it though is it'll also give you a really authoritative answer that like sounds like it's true, like, oh yeah, this is the right answer. That's not true. I think they call that hallucinations in within the AI. They call it a hallucination,
Oh, so it's not
which
even
is
like a,
interesting too.
not even the truth. It's just fake
Yeah,
news.
yeah, but it'll sound like it.
What?
And where I've seen that is because I've used it to do like coding, like you know, to simplify coding tasks. I'll be like, "Hey, I need a routine to do this," and it will go out and give me one, but it may not be one that like works completely or is even right at all. Like it may have things that aren't really the way you need to do the code, and I've recognized that when I look at the code and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. And then it'll go, oh yeah, sorry, it should be like this, or
And then it
that
gives you
that
the
doesn't
real
exist on
answer?
that system or whatever, or it gives you a better answer. Maybe, I don't know, sometimes it doesn't. The other thing I've run
What?
into, because for the Phineas Squith books, I've actually used ChatGPT and Gemini to generate the illustrations for those books, and I've run into circumstances where like for example, the by the way, this is a plug. The next Phineas Squith book is about to be out, and in this one, he's got his tail is like wrapped in bandage because he hurts his tail,
Yeah, he had
and
a bad
there were
day.
times where, yeah, good one. And there are times where it would generate the images for me, and somehow the bandage would end up on his leg instead of on his tail. And I would
Oh.
specifically say, no, that's not right. The bandage is supposed to be on his tail. And it would give me a long response that says, oh, yes, that's right. Here's what the image needs to be. And it would list all the things, just as we discussed them. And one of them would say, bandage on his tail, tail, not on his leg. And I'd get the next image and it would be exactly like the image it generated before. Like really kind of quirky stuff like that.
That's interesting.
So it's not, so that's also though something to keep in mind when you are using it for things is like, trust but verify. you know,
Yeah.
it, 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 like if you know the information, because I think the way that some people use it in business is for things like, like maybe you're trying to organize thoughts for something. Maybe you've got like a
Hmm.
project that you're working on, and you have all the information, but you're trying to put it in a more organized manner.
Yeah.
That's probably safe because you're giving it the information. It's just putting it in a different pattern for you. If you're looking at it to actually like get the information, you really want to check what it gives you because it's not. And all of them say that. They all of them somewhere on it have a disclaimer that said, "Hey, the AI makes mistakes." And
Yeah.
so, check the work.
I think that's where using it to cheat in school,
Yeah.
not always smart.
It's like
Um,
copying off the paper of the kid who doesn't have the answers. That's
yeah,
what it's like.
exactly, exactly. So I looked on Reddit at some more ways that like other people use it. This is a
Yeah.
super interesting one. It says my daughter is type 1 diabetic. She'll take a photo of her meal and it will estimate the carbs with a good degree of accuracy. Ideal if she's eating at a restaurant, etc., where the info isn't available.
That's interesting. That
I
is
never even
interesting. Yeah,
thought of
some of
taking a
the
photo of my food and sending it in like, hey, how many calories do
yeah,
you think this is? I'm
right,
at this restaurant, it's this meal.
right.
Give me the nutrition
Yeah,
facts of this.
that aspect of it too is one of the ones that is more interesting to me is like using, taking a photo of something and having it tell you. Like I've done that with
Hmm.
plants or with bugs that
Oh
I've seen.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's
Like
a cool.
and
Yeah.
it does a really good job. Like I forget there was some really weird bug that I saw in our yard, and I took a
Hmm.
picture of it on ChatGPT and asked it what it was, and it came back and told me what it was. It had a bunch of information about it. Told me to stay away from it because it could be deadly. No,
Are you serious? That would be
no, it
crazy. That
didn't
would
say
freak
that.
me out.
Oh
Um.
no, you know what it was? There was a feather in the front yard, and it was a really interesting looking feather, and so I took a picture of it, and it said that it was from a certain breed of hawk that's like a protected bird, and when you find a feather from it, like you're not supposed to touch it because if you have it in your possession you can like go to jail, like that kind of
What?
thing, like you're
I'd be like, it's not my
yeah.
fault.
No, they don't know
It's not
that.
my fault. It
You
came to
might have
me.
you
I
might
didn't
have
search for
yeah,
this. I didn't go searching for it.
I
It's in
don't
my
know,
yard.
you might have caught the bird and plucked its tail.
Okay, this one's funny. This
So it
one
might
says, oh, go ahead. What?
no, no, no.
Oh, I think you said something. This says, ChatGPT is basically my unpaid, overworked executive assistant who never quits, never sighs at me, and doesn't mind being asked the same question 14 times because I forgot I already asked.
Yes.
And then they said, here's some ways I use it. And it says, shopping help. I take photos of whole aisles in the store and say, find me the deals. And it does. Like some kind of digital
Wow.
raccoon with a coupon binder. What?
See, now I got to try that. I got to
Find me
try
the
that one. That's
deals.
amazing.
Right.
That's pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, see, meal
How does
planning.
that work?
I've heard like of
I'd be
people.
curious. I'd
What?
be curious in that scenario which one they're using. Like, because some of them are more, geared towards certain things than others.
Well, this says just ChatGPT. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm assuming they just use regular schmegular ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, meal planning, of course. Like I've even heard of people saying like when they go to the grocery store outside of just like this is how much money I have, make me a thing for the week. They'll even add like certain specs like I'm vegan or I'm dairy free or gluten free
Right.
or like whatever,
Right.
type 1 diabetic, and it'll like also give it
Take that into
specific.
consideration. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Which
awesome. That's really so many things I never thought of.
it says parenting stuff. It doesn't it doesn't judge when I say How do I explain anxiety to a kid without sounding like I'm projecting my own childhood trauma? I've heard of people doing it for things like that too. Not necessarily parenting, but just like sending literal screenshots of conversations to
Oh,
ChatGPT
right.
and being like, how do I respond to this politely or
Right.
nicely or like, you know, to a they'll send screenshots of an email from their boss that was being rude and be like, how do I respond to them by
Yeah.
saying I don't care without saying I don't care?
How about this one? This is similar to that one you had. It said, I once used it to find a small bolt I lost outside. I took a pic, it found it, and circled the spot for me after I asked it to. That's wild.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah,
That
I've
is
even
wild.
there was this girl on I think it was TikTok or something, and she was even using it because I know a lot of people use ChatGPT for medical help. When my tooth was hurting, I
Hmm.
literally went to ChatGPT for it because back in the day, like people would always just do the what was it, WebMD, and it would just
Yeah.
always say like could be a headache or a brain aneurysm and you're gonna die
Yeah.
tomorrow, like
Yeah. Yeah.
one or the
Yeah.
other. But ChatGPT is a lot more soft about it and more realistic. So there was this girl on TikTok who was saying that I forget what happened. What I forget I can't remember what it was, but she basically explained her symptoms to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT said I think it was that I don't know, it was something was going on with her, and then ChatGPT was like, oh, it sounds like you have this. And, but, obviously seek medical help, blah, blah, blah. She goes to the
Right.
doctor, gets checked, and it's exactly what ChatGPT said she
Wow.
probably had. Because she
That's
explained all of her
so.
symptoms, all of what she was going through, how long she was going through it, any past, like, medical stuff that she had to deal with or whatever. And
Hmm.
ChatGPT literally diagnosed her with the same thing that
That's
her doctor
wild.
did.
Yeah, that's wild. And it's funny if you think about it from that standpoint, like your doctor, your, general practitioner, or your, your family doctor, like
Hmm.
they've got to go through a lot of training, but no one can know everything.
Yeah.
Even if they read like every medical journal out there and all that, like they can't know every piece of information about everything. And things like ChatGPT or these AI uh, systems, like they can basically look at every piece of information like publicly available on something.
Hmm.
So, where WebMD was kind of, based on, symptoms and that, it was more like almost like a keyword search, what it was doing.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
actually looking at every publicly available piece of information on that topic and making a determination from that, which is a lot more. That's one of the areas that I really see, like in the future, it's going to become heavily used is in medicine. And I can't help but think that like when smart people like doctors and scientists are using it for that kind of thing, it's
Yeah.
going to lead to like cures for diseases and treatments for diseases like a lot faster than they happen today.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think that's super cool. I mean, there's been people who they'll literally send a picture of like an injury or something to ChatGPT, like, "Hey, does this look infected?" ChatGPT will
Yep.
let them know.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
Another one that it says on here is legal help, which I've also heard a lot of people using before as well, like help me draft this or help me write this.
Right.
ChatGPT is great at helping you, just like the help me respond to this email or text message, like ChatGPT is great at helping formulate really anything anything in a more
Yeah,
I don't know how to say it, like HR way,
like any
professional way.
right, right. Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's even nice to take something that you've written that is because I've done that for like emails where I've written something
yeah.
and I've just kind of said, make this sound better, and it'll
Mhm.
reword things a little bit. Like, I don't have a problem writing that kind of stuff, but sometimes I get done with it and I'm like, that's not getting my point the right way. And it'll just polish it a little bit, which is nice.
I've done it with cover letters for like when you're applying to jobs. I've done it where I'll put in a sample of my resume and then I'll copy and paste the job description and I'll say compare my resume with the job description and write me a cover letter.
Oh, that's a good use too. The one problem I've run into with trying to use it to tweak your resume to a job is that it goes to that bias, right? That I was talking about before, where it'll do that, but it'll also add in experience that the job is looking for that's not on your resume that maybe you
Yeah,
don't have. And so
I've learned
that's
that
that's the
too.
one area you got
Yeah.
to be careful with.
Yeah, that's why I say you always have to when I've done the cover letter little trick, I always say like compare them because yeah, otherwise it'll try and act like I have it'll I've noticed if you don't use certain terms, it'll try and just basically reword the job description, which obviously we
Right.
don't want to do.
One person says they use it as their underpaid therapist, which is,
A
I guess,
lot of people
interesting.
do. To the extent that I forget I think there's a couple states in the US that they said, or cities or whatever, that are
Yeah.
literally dumbing down their chat GPT because people were using it fully as their therapist.
Yeah, and this says, and this is what I was talking about before, just be aware that it's an echo chamber and rarely challenges your views, whereas a therapist can contradict your beliefs whenever needed. Which is that's what I was saying. It tends to want to agree with you. It's like it's trying to keep you happy.
It doesn't want you to like leave, so it
Yeah,
disagrees.
yeah. It's lonely.
Um, I don't know what that means, rumination and RSD. Yeah, I've been see a lot of people say medical tracking. I honestly I think that's like one of the cooler parts of Chat GPT is just the medical side of it.
Yeah, this one person's talking about something. This was something that the guy that guy that did that presentation had mentioned is this person says one of the most unexpected powerful ways to use chat GPT is something I call AI boardroom mode. Whenever I'm working through a new idea, whether it's launching a creative project, make a big purchase, or exploring a side hustle, fancy way to say a second job, I simulate a panel of functional experts and ask for their perspectives. For example, I once asked ChatGPT, pretend you're a panel of multiple experts, a branding consultant, a growth focused Substack strategist, a brutally honest Gen Z content editor. It goes through a bunch of those.
Mhm.
And it's basically asking it to, from each of those point of views, give feedback. And that was something that
Mhm.
he'd mentioned too, is like, utilizing it in that way, because then what it actually is doing is it's adjusting the way that it's analyzing it, which is like that's fascinating to me too, because again, it's got
Mhm.
all that information to go off of. Just interesting stuff.
Yeah, I remember when when ChatGPT first became popular and people were just like scared that it was just going to be a bunch of like students using it to cheat.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then you find all these other uses that people are using it for, and it's like, what? Oh, people will send pictures of it to pictures of like their home, like their bedroom, their kids' room, their living room, whatever, and say, "Hey, this is my style. Help me redecorate my living room. What couch
Oh,
would look best
nice.
in my living room? What wall color should I paint this? Help me redecorate."
We both know somebody who used it to in their backyard redo. They took a
Right.
picture of their backyard and said, "Hey, help me,
Mhm.
redo this landscaping," and it did a good job too. It did a really good job.
Mhm.
That kind of stuff is
Yeah.
just that where when it gets into the thing of like design type things, that's where it fascinates me because you
Mhm.
know, like if I can, even for the image generation stuff, right? Like the pictures that I'm having it generate for illustrations for a book, it it's that's where like does it have creativity because it is creating something. Now
Mhm.
it's based on my description, right? But it's still using some sort of creative license because there are times where like what it comes back with is a little bit different than what I asked, and maybe I'll go, "Oh yeah, I like that. That's good." And
Yeah.
it's not, I didn't give it every detail. I didn't say, every single thing about it. It just made some assumptions and came up with something. So that's kind of like interesting to me. Is it actual creativity?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like people will take a picture of, their bedroom and say, "Hey, I like more of a simple look. Um, I have a medium-sized bedroom. Help me make my room look bigger and just more clean and open." And it'll give a
Yeah.
bunch of options of, different types of beds, different types of
Things to do.
bedroom furniture, little,
Yeah.
yeah, sconces on the wall, curtains, no curtains. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's pretty cool as well. Or people, if they're like, got to remodel their kitchen, they'll take a picture of their kitchen and be like, help me remodel my kitchen.
Yeah, I'd be interested for that kind of stuff to see the kind of results you'd get too. That would be very interesting to me.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways,
So, anyways, yeah, I'd be curious to hear, how any. Do we have a caller? Oh no, we don't. We don't have callers.
we don't have colors.
Can ChatGPT get us callers? No. I'd be interested to hear how like anybody who listens to the podcast, watches the podcast, is using it like outside of some of the things we talked about because it really is like it's incredible how just all the different ways that people are utilizing it now, and it makes you think as it improves, like it's almost limitless. Really, when it
Oh,
comes to
yeah.
things like idea generation and that kind of stuff, it's really almost limitless what you
Yeah,
can
like
do.
someone said that it was their wife's birthday or something, so they explained to ChatGPT, she has this kind of similar this humor. Help me or recommend some books to me with her sense of humor and different things that she
Right,
likes, and it recommended a bunch of books, like different
right,
books that she might like, which I think is
right,
even cool to go in there. Hey, shopping for this person with the holidays coming up. This is kind of how they
right,
are. What are some gift ideas for
right.
somebody
Yeah,
that
that's
likes
and that's
sports
another
or
that's another example
doesn't
too
care
where
for
I feel like you could.
technology?
Right. And that's another example where I think you could throw like a budget at it and say, "Hey, I'm looking to
Mm-hmm.
spend, this much on this person. They like these kind of
Mm-hmm.
things. Give me some suggestions." Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Starts
Mm-hmm.
making his Christmas list with ChatGPT.
Yeah. Like, hey, they're into, I don't know, watches or tech things or
Mm.
whatever. What are things that they would like under this amount?
Yeah. And ask me 5 questions about their personality first.
Yeah.
I wonder to what extent too if you and I know it would work, but if you gave it like I don't know your chat your text thread between you and this other person and said, you know, "Hey, based on this text thread, what do you think this person would think if I said this?" You know?
Oh, yeah, that's
Or if
kind of
I
like
if I
along the lines
like
of,
and not,
yeah.
not a discussion thing necessarily, but like if there was something that you were going to tell them, but you didn't know how they'd take it, if you could throw your entire text thread with that person, how much it could surmise about their personality and how they would react
Oh,
to it. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
True.
Like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
would be
yeah.
very interesting to me. Like, would it be accurate? Would it come back with something accurate, or would it come back with like, like how much can it determine? I guess from that.
Hey, ChatGPT, they seem really sensitive, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. Teach it to be judgy about people. No, the
They're
interesting one to me
overreacting,
would
right, ChatGPT?
the interesting one to me would be if you could give it like things that somebody who's no longer alive wrote, like somebody who wrote a lot of things, like I don't know, an
Mhm.
author or like a historical figure, like George Washington, say. If you
Yeah.
threw at it everything that they had written and said, based on this, what do you think they would think about this current, a current political situation? What would their response be to, this current political situation? If it would,
Hmm.
what it would come back with. I mean, obviously, it's not going to know what that person would say because, they're not a person. But how
Yeah.
much could it determine? I like an example is a couple of weeks ago, the Mega Ball jackpot, I think it was, or was a Powerball. One of them was up. It was up over like $1 billion, and I threw a very specific, um, like, um, request to ChatGPT, or I think it was ChatGPT, to based on the numbers that first I asked it to look up the numbers over the last 2 years, I think it was, and
Hmm.
then look for any patterns in because so one of the things they say about those lotteries is that they have different sets of balls that they use, right? So they have like the same, numbers obviously every time, but they might have like three sets of balls that they use, and there could be slight variations in the weights of those. So it might be that like when they use the third set, the number two comes up an inordinately large amount of the time because that number two ball is slightly lighter than the others or something like that, some kind of pattern,
Hmm.
in other words. So
Hmm.
I asked it to take the numbers over the last 2 years, do an analysis to see if it could find any patterns like that, and then use that to guess what the numbers were going to be for the, and it was wrong. I mean, it was completely wrong, but I think
What?
it
I
got
thought that
like
was going to
one
be a
number
happy
right.
ending.
No. Yeah, yeah. This was the way I was going to tell you that. Anyway, I won the $1.5 billion, whatever it was,
Yeah.
lottery jackpot. No. And then I just drop my headphones and walk away. No, but but that's an example of that kind of thing, because there are certain things that it can do an analysis based on, I could have even told it come up with your own method of analyzing it, because one of the things that I asked it to do is say and look for a method that had you used it the previous week it would have been close, to accurate, or over the last 6 weeks would have been the closest to accurate, that kind of thing. um and like I said, obviously it didn't, what it came up with wasn't actually. I should go back and look and see if it did have any of them right. Because now that I think about it, when I played the jackpot that week, I just used a quick pick instead. So
Um, you saying that, I saw something the other day that this guy, he did like sports betting or whatever, and I don't think it's ChatGPT, but he uses some form of some AI thing, and that's how he figures out when he does sports betting every week. That's how he figures out what to bet. He basically gives the AI system the whole rundown, and AI basically guesses his sports picks, and he wins
wow.
off of it.
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask. Does he
Yeah,
win
no,
at
no,
all?
no.
I mean,
And he wins.
that kind
He
of
puts
makes
in the
sense because
information. Hey,
yeah,
these are the players. These are the teams. This is the history. These are the games they've played so far. This
right,
is how like, yeah.
right.
And AI basically tells him the things. He's not,
For certain
winning
sports, I
across the
think it
board, but
yeah, for certain sports, I think it could work just because, a lot of times there is one team that's so much better than the other if you're talking about like, like professional sports and that kind of thing. I think where it might not do as good would be for things like horse racing, because like the
Yeah.
favorites, which is what it would probably tell you to bet on, um, like, a lot of the time the favorite isn't the one that wins, in that kind of thing. So, but yeah,
Hmm.
it'd be interesting to take it and track it, do that even without spending any money, do it and track it over a 6 week period and see how accurate it would be.
See how much
You
money you
should do
could have
that.
been betting that you're losing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should do that. I'm not going to do it because it would be too time consuming, but you should.
Okay, yeah,
And
and I'll
then
report
report back.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll let y'all know how much money I didn't win.
Yeah. And then what'll happen is like, you'll get to the 6 week and you'll be like, man, I would have won like $100,000 by now. And you'll bet
That's
on one
why
of
I
them and
wouldn't
that
want
one
to
will
do
lose.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
know.
why. That's why you just got to do it. You know what's funny is like you always, I forget, we were talking about it the one day, like, because um, there's someone that like they'll bet $20 on a pick and like win 500, but you know that that person who bet that 20, like, they're a gambler. Like they didn't just
Yeah. Oh
randomly
yeah.
bet that 20 that one time and win five. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Like
how many
at be,
20s
if
did
the
they bet before they won that?
right, at best they're breaking even in the end. But
Yeah.
when they win that 500, they feel good. For that one time, they feel
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, if you have time, comment on this. Let us know if there's any like interesting way that you're using AI, personal or work or whatever, and maybe we'll talk about it again another time. And we'll probably use AI to help us with game time or not.
Maybe we
We'll
will
see.
be AI.
That's true.
All right. Bye, everyone.
All right.